Oh, sure. They're getting to be commonplace now.
As of 2013, the wind provided electrical power for over 15 million U.S. homes. More than 60,000 megawatts of wind power is being generated. Over the past 5 years, more than 30% of all new U.S. generating capacity came from new wind turbine installations, more than any other energy source. But it wasn't always this way. Before the 1970s, energy from the wind was scoffed at by those who considered its diffuse nature as being insignificant and could not foresee its collective power. Mankind relied on concentrated yet irreplaceable natural energy resources for its unprecedented industrial growth, with little concern of the environment. But when the oil stopped and reactors melted, it triggered a wave of change that would sweep around the country. Safer, cleaner, and more sustainable energy sources were the dream, and the social consciousness of the 60s and 70s became manifest in the college campuses where innovation and answers can germinate. Nowhere in the country was there a college campus more in tune with the potential of wind and other sustainable energy sources than the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, the flagship campus of the Commonwealth's growing university system. And the wind turbine, which was being designed on campus, was to soon become the runaway example of how utilities could capture the wind resource on a large scale. The driving force behind this movement was a retired U.S. naval officer and engineering professor named William Hieronymus. Bill, or the Captain, as he was affectionately known, was discouraged by what he saw as major flaws in the commercialization of nuclear power, and thought the country should move in a different and independent direction. He poured his life into renewable energy sources. His early work with OTEC, Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion Systems, was groundbreaking. But his real passion was the wind, and teaching about it. As a sea captain, he already knew where the largest amounts of wind were located. The captain dreamed of vast armadas of floating wind ships, and large multi-rotor arrays that could power large areas of the country. His work is still being referenced around the world as the wind industry begins to finally tap into this immense sustainable resource. Because of his stature and experience, he brought credibility to the renewable energy movement, even testifying in Congress about the potential that wind power could provide for the country and for the world. In the mid-70s, work at the university began under grants from a consortium led by the federal government to explore wind energy technology. Hieronymus, along with several other UMass faculty, doctoral candidate Woody Stoddard, and a young band of some 20 graduate and undergraduate students, created the UMass Wind Furnace and Solar Habitat Project. Although small by modern standards, at the time of its completion it was the largest existing wind turbine in the U.S. and perhaps the largest operating turbine in the world. Today's mature wind turbine design bears what was once new on the Wolf 1, including the use of 3 blades with a near optimal blade shape, fiberglass blades, pitch-regulated blades that allowed power output to be controlled, variable speed operation, and computer control. The turbine also featured a now familiar monopole tower instead of the common latticework design. In many ways, the wind furnace and the UMass wind program were at the center of the modern wind energy industry. Many of the ideas and designs which were implemented in the early California wind farms of the 1980s and 90s had their roots in the work that was done on the UMass campus, or by UMass graduates as they helped create the industry itself. Throughout the 80s and 90s, the wind energy program at UMass was a shining star in the nation's nascent wind industry. So many UMass graduates entered both the private and government sectors of the industry that the program and its students affectionately became known as the UMass Wind Mafia. Many of the companies in the wind industry were started by or staffed by graduates of the UMass program. This included U.S. Wind Power, which was the largest wind energy company in the world during the 1990s. In fact, General Electric's wind division, which currently ranks as a world leader, can trace the roots of much of its valuable technology through U.S. Wind Power and right back to UMass. Government agencies around the world have also turned to UMass to find qualified, distinctive leaders to help set energy policy. Another early wind company founded in part by UMass alumni was ESI. Two of ESI's founders were wind furnace veterans Sandy Butterfield and Jim Sexton, and many other alumni filled the company's ranks. The company designed one of the first two-bladed downwind teetered turbines based on NASA research in two-bladed turbines. Over its history, ESI installed more than 750 turbines in the Altamont Pass, Tehachapi, and Palm Spring areas of California. ESI gave many engineers their first practical wind energy experience. But of those engineers, UMass graduates clearly dominated ESI's ranks. One of the testing machines for ESI was eventually brought back to the Pioneer Valley and placed on Mount Tom as an educational and research tool for UMass students. In the late 80s, and under the guidance of a new director, James Manuel, the Wind Furnace Project became the centerpiece for what was to become known as the UMass Renewable Energy Research Laboratory, or RERL. The RERL later went on to become the UMass Wind Energy Center, which continues to provide resources to Massachusetts citizens, businesses, and government to this day. The Wind Energy Center provides wind resource assessments, installs MET towers, offers input on important policy issues, and assists many communities in the Commonwealth with their wind projects. The wind projects in the town of Hull are just one example of the center's ability to serve the public. So you see, our university really has a great pedigree when it comes to wind energy. In fact, if you open up just about any modern textbook about modern wind power, you're likely to see the UMass WOOF 1 project mentioned. And speaking of textbooks, the unparalleled reputation and knowledge base acquired by the UMass program over the years continues to spread. Many instructors at UMass have become noted authors of the predominant wind engineering texts used at other colleges and universities. So, as you can see, a lot has happened in the last 40 years. The world today continues to derive increasing amounts of its thirst for energy from the wind. You can be proud of the fact that our state's university has played a pivotal role in the development of wind energy science and technology, and is still working hard to advance the field as it reaches new markets. The original wind furnace is now part of the collections of the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., a testament to its importance in the history of American wind power. The machine awaits conservation treatment and is targeted as a candidate for a future exhibition. But even as we remember the past, the wind program at UMass continues to grow, producing increasing numbers of graduates to be the leaders of tomorrow, and join the ranks of a new second generation of the program's previous graduates. Now it's time to look ahead to the next 40 years and to make sure that the unique programs that were started here continue to grow. Work continues on several fronts, such as in the creation of a new endowment chair for wind studies, and continual upgrades to programming and outreach, and your assistance is greatly needed. The Wind Energy Program at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. Steeped in history, making a difference today, and building towards tomorrow.